Well, let's break into it. We got the newest episode, so hit it up. Hit us with
all right. Super excited. Welcome back to episode 6 of Uncommonsense. We're actually here with a few great guests. Actually, we have Eddie Johnson here, man. Super excited to have you.
Welcome.
As well as David Rice, but David is actually not coming back as a guest. He is officially a host on Uncommonsense. So super excited to have you here, man. I mean, a lot of great conversations. As you saw, we had a few part series with him talking about the development of his company, Caro. But now
and team building too.
And team building, all that. But now it's a completely different conversation, man. So thank you for being part of the project, part of the process, and just part of the growth.
A wonderful place to be. I don't even worry about a hater or enemy. I just go and study how to make me a better me. Build the future for us, visit places you've never seen. Yeah.
Thanks for including me, guys. I think we're going to have many more great conversations. Starting with this one, I'm already excited. We started chatting a little bit before we started recording. This is going in the great direction.
Great process. Exactly. It's going to be phenomenal, man. But Eddie, I mean, we had a really great time, and the conversation that you had with me impacted me a lot, and I took that and was able to share with a lot of people. And now we're seeing in your life where a lot of things are changing. You've gone in a direction that you probably knew at some point that you were going to be there, right? And now it's just taking you into another realm. And it's been great to see how the development has, affected not only my life, but the life of my family as well, right? But I guess we can kind of just speak on that, the experience of, us knowing each other and what necessarily happened, culminated from there.
Yeah, where did that relationship stem from? Because I'm really curious. Yeah,
definitely. We have a mutual incredible friend, Tiana, who I met just a couple months ago at the Conscious Life Expo in LA. And when you find each other, it's just like, all right, we have work to do. And I work and partner of the Royal House in Vista, San Diego, where on Labor Day, I just wanted anybody who had any instruments, music, just come together, create a frequency, if not just sound bowls, chambes, drums. And Tiana invited Eddie and a couple other friends, and they came and were hanging out at the side of the pool in this incredible property. And we just started talking about all the stuff that we were sharing today about life and death and how things are further, and kind of got into a little bit of my son who passed away and how it really helped me see, like, we're here for each other, we got each other and everything. And through that conversation, things clicked. And you invited me to meet a couple friends from Tasha to DJ Bonix in Vegas. And through that, got me to move out to Vegas now. And we're creating a lot together. And it's all thanks to the frequency that we built around the pool of just knowing that we're here to heal and build something bigger, And I thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming, man. I mean, you said something to me at a time, going through, your hardships that really allowed me. I lost somebody very important to me in my life, and my interpretation of, losing them was that I never really lost them at that point, right? Now I just gained more perspective. I gained more opportunity to, share the message that they impacted me with. And in that moment, I knew that I wanted to align you with those around me that would share the same perspective. So just to see where you've been able to come in, it's super exciting. But I know we got a great conversation coming in here pretty shortly, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, the topic in general that we've been asked about is just client acquisitions, but you're already sort of bringing it into fruition because it's relationship building. And to know, like, when you're working with someone new or you're working with a new client, the first thing that you're always thinking of is this person or is this company or is this entity somebody that or something that will resonate well internally with me as much as it, hopefully it gives to them the exact same frequency. And I love that you were bringing that into the conversation, because that's actually how I look at doing business in general. Like, I don't actually get involved with with clients unless it does serve me. And if it does serve me to a degree, what is that degree? And then how long does that frequency last? So again, with clients themselves, like I look internally in my heart to see if it resonates with my heart, to say, hey, is this the type of, business or service or person that I want to actually do business with? And I know that when you guys started to actually cultivate the relationship, you started to bring business into that relationship almost immediately, which started to drive more focal points in how you could work together in so many different facets, not just business, which is very unique. And I've started to witness just what that does. And what happens is it speeds everything up.
It does. Which
to me is something that you never really get. You never get an opportunity right away where if someone aligns with you, that they just immediately start to push you further, and they are pushed further because all of a sudden you're just working in tandem to actually bring something larger. And that's usually what a relationship is within business. That's also what a client is when you actually look at it, even if you look at the definition of it. So the actual topic at hand and the questions that I have are, what does it take to actually dive into understanding why you do business with other businesses? Why do you personally choose to do business with those entities or businesses? And honestly, I'd love to sort of hear from you, Eddie. Like, this is very interesting.
Definitely. So one thing to start with that, the word entity I love, because when you start a new business at LSU C Corp, it literally says entity's name. You are creating here. So it's like, it's a responsibility, as if you are a baby or any other entity that you decided to give breath to life. So with the creation of this, like, what is your goals? What is your motto? Like, what are you drawing from? And what is, what's the word I'm looking for right now? Basically, but, where are we going with it? It's like, and when you do that, what people are we going to build around it? And to understand that it's something that you've done your entire life. All the codes that you've ever had was there. What values, what ethics, what morals are you going to put into it? And to know that the business that we're going to do entity business with is, how is this going to be a structure of just not money for today, but to build something long term, because this is a relationship between your entity and mine. You already have a whole world, as I have a complete other world. Earth is a docking station, whether if we're humans or entities, on how do we fit together into this international space station to better fulfill each other. We're fueling each other and not pulling each other down. That is just, you have metrics, you have values, you have employees, you have something that you created, and I have something quite a bit different that I know that one way or the other, we have net worth, net value. And one of the best ways that I explain it normally is like, the money is not real. It's the value of what you are. Kanye, who lost $500 million in one day because of, losing one deal, that wasn't real money. You're not a real billionaire. You don't have this money in your account. People like to talk about how nobody should have that much money. It's not the money. It's the network connections of the businesses that I could put you on, my website, and vice versa, knowing that we got each other and people trust us. Businesses, churches, they're basically to an extent all at MLM, and when you understand the structures that are there, the more people that believe in you, the more power you have. So if you have a church, a trust, a business, and so do I, that's more people that believe that we're doing something together that's righteous, for the most part, as long as it's to our values, because there is no right or wrong, but like, what are we creating here? How is this going to fill? I started a mortgage business in August 2020. And from that, a solar business, and then the Reiki business. And in order to do that, you have to get connected with other businesses in the area. I started doing the yoga to bring realtors in, that bring in other solar people. And I'm like, you guys got something too. I got houses. How do we put this all together? Whether it's marketing firms, e-commerce, and everything else. We all want this Amazon business, but people are afraid of putting their things together. They want to hold things back. They want to have secrets, which you can't have a true relationship, whether it's business or any other way. So it's how do you be true for me? Like, I like to call what I call clarity. It's having no fine print. I'm going to be open upfront about everything. I want people to know what's in my books because I'm going to give you a percentage of my business if we do this together. Mm-hmm. I want you to check me so hard to know that I'm going to do things right. Mm-hmm. I'm an Eagle Scout. I was in the Boy Scouts as a kid growing up in Brooklyn. Like, the law is to be trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. I have those 12 laws in every room in my office, in my building, because it's just like in my 13th, which is discipline. Because when you hold those together and you find other businesses that understand the responsibility of taking care of other people, this is not about you anymore. This is not about your dollar. Are you paying yourself? Or are you putting this back into your entity, creating that bubble? Because it's not yours. Mm-hmm. You know, people don't understand. They think that's the money and they keep on spending it. It's not, it's the entities. And when you have partners, like, it's fun because now you have multiple personalities in something to also check you, because we don't live in a one-dimensional world. It's multi, and we need each other's facets. You know, any group, from the disciples to any business, you always have councils, men at the round table, to have different personalities and everything else, to understand, like, okay, cool, this is bigger than us, but we have something. And it's, yeah.
No, I like it. It drives a focal point, and it's just actually what trust is there that you're building through the fact that you're just being authentically you, and to know that you're saying the component of, I don't even have fine print. I am the fine print, by saying, like, this is how I'm doing business. That's actually such a unique take. I've never ever thought of like that. So, and it's sort of, I wanted to ask you too, because you have a ton of experience in business, not just with Caro, but in terms of clients, what made you sort of pursue some of the clientele that you did in the past, like with different business ventures that you pursued? Yeah,
I do want to talk about Caro first and touch on some of the things you brought up, because we're in a different situation. Like, Caro, just, you know, it's like a drop shipping app. It's like a marketplace for retailers to go find products that they can add to their store and get a commission to sell those products. And we're a Shopify app. So for us, client acquisition, we were just trying to scale as fast as possible. When I joined, we had 200 users all on Shopify. Now we're, you know, north of 30,000. So for us, it's taking the shotgun approach. It's not as much as like, let's make sure our frequencies and energy are the same and we're all aligned on everything. It's just, we need to get as many people through the door as possible. That's how it started. What has developed is, I like that you bring up like the church. Like, Caro is this, it's a network of different brands, different businesses, entities collaborating together. And because we took the shotgun approach and because we just opened the floodgates, we actually saw new problems arise because of the quality of, you know, brands and people working for those brands just wasn't on the right standard. So there was issues, because really Caro is just the middleman that's, you know, connecting two businesses. And we still need those two businesses to actually operate as a partnership. And if you let in bad actors into your network, those are naturally going to get partnered up with other people, and that's going to create problems. So one of my more recent responsibilities has been to, I call myself like the sheriff in town, because I have to go through and monitor for those kind of situations, really try and extract as much information and then make an educated decision on, do we need to kick this guy out of the system because it's causing all these issues? So client acquisition is a little bit different for us, but now it's changing. But I will say, like, we have different types of tiers of users. We have our everyday users that are paying the least amount. And then we have, you know, Fortune 500 companies, like Netflix is one of our clients. So when we're considering client acquisition with those top tier companies, that's when everything we're talking about here becomes so much more important, because those relationships do require a lot more from Caro and from my team. We really do need to be aligned, because if we're not, then we're going to have those problems. Right. But for like the bottom of the ring, those, you know, companies, we don't have to be aligned with as much, because they don't require the same, you know, high touch points in relationship, as long as they meet the baselines of just, following our TOS, you know, and making sure they're doing what's expected.
definitely bringing it up like a few notches, because I feel like this is more high level in terms of just what the relationship is in business and how you can interpret the information that's coming in through different business realms. So in actually starting to just pick it apart, you start to realize like, oh man, you know, everyone who is in business and who understands it has their own unique approach to it. And that's what makes, I would say, like the field of commerce, just like it's so, you know, for me, exciting, because there's so much more to it that can be involved into it.
And on the flip side, I ran a marketing agency for over a year. And in that situation, I'm not dealing with thousands of clients. I'm dealing with a handful of clients. And it became extremely important to make sure we're aligned, because you have real close relationships with those people. You want to make sure you can get along with them. It's important.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's almost just doing like personal due diligence on who you're surrounding yourself with. And I think you said it last time, you make up like your 5 closest people that you surround yourself with, but it can even go further than that.
So I actually have a question for you. How do you, because I think it's important as you're like doing your due diligence, how do you do your due diligence and quickly? What are some tips we have on that across the board for anyone?
Definitely, honestly, I like to look at it as chess. Like I'm always looking multiple steps ahead, because things are always going to change. No matter what, you got to pivot. And with that, it's knowing who am I working with? Is this real? Am I going to be real to myself? And also, we're building something long-term here. So if I'm upset with you for these 30 days, but I know that this is a 10, 20-year project or so, I might not just want to get rid of you right now, because it's like you do have so many things that I saw in you to bring you here. And we live in this world of swipe left, swipe right, you no longer work for me. So I'm just going to trash you instead of holding on to something to create a family, a network, and a community. And sometimes if you just hold on a little longer, it's like row your boat. Life is but a dream. Just don't stop. But we quit and we quit and we quit instead of just really putting in the gut effort. If I felt something in you, there's something wrong, and everybody else said so many incredible things about you. And just one thing is just like, what in this do I see myself? What keeps on holding myself back from letting go of these things? Do I just am I this abandonment man? Or just like, am I holding on to those that value me? Because in this world, like we get thrown so many companies, so many people, so many ideas, when we get to utilize it a lot, but like our discernment, that's one thing that holds us back so much, is not properly utilized, but it's like, it's a balance between all of it. What works, what doesn't work. And it happens for me almost immediately, because like you said, you took the shotgun approach of getting there fast. Without me even trying to. With my mortgage company, I went from within 3 months, making $30K to within a year and a half making almost $200,000 a month. And it's just like, and it was that shotgun approach. But like when you align yourself, no matter what, whether if your words or spirit or energy or this, that, it's same but different. Like I always say, like we're never equal, but we're always similar but different. We on the color wheel that it's just like, all right, cool. It's going to happen no matter what. So I know those who are supposed to say will always say. Those who don't. Right. If you hurt me, like, cool, what am I going to do emotionally to have the equanimity to realize like this could mess with me if I wanted to and set me off my equanimity and my emotions. But emotion literally means energy in motion. The feeling is something that's made up by the assumption that we had, a made up idea. When you realize, pivot, like, okay, cool, like really, really quick, you could go from being homeless to millionaire in less than 18 months. It's just, understanding that take what's yours and most of the stuff isn't, like 99%, like keep on going.
I like it. What I sort of gathered from that too, which is interesting, but what I feel from just the understanding of your stylization of due diligence, it's really like the reflecting of whom you are internally and whether or not that resonates with that person in front of you. And if it does, then how long does that frequency last? Because it might always be there, or you're the one actually actively choosing to say, hey, I need to do this, I need to do it a different way, and now I'm gonna interact in a different light with a new person or a new client or a new person or a new business. It is what it is, but it seems to be almost that the reflective of whom you are as a person, which is a unique take. I like that.
And I think naturally, like, it all tends to come together when when you're able to bring the value first, like to people, like for in our instance specifically, the value that you brought me in that moment allowed me to bring more value to everyone else around me, right? Even in this conversation right here, you know, being you now meeting my team and saying, now we can have this conversation together. And you didn't ask for anything in that moment, right? It was just, I just want to give you this, right? And for me, it and I still remember that till this day. And that's something that I personally seek when I'm building a relationship with the client. It's, I want to show you who I am and what I'm capable of doing, but I want to give you this so you can understand how open I am with you and how transparent I am going to be with the results that we're going to get. Whether or not you abuse that, I am 100% ready for it, because I'm not going to compromise who I am in the situation for anything that, you know, may align, you may, you know, come into fruition in the future, right? It's the value that we bring. And I think that's something we all share, that from at least the conversations that I've seen, where it's, all right, you know, when we talk about it a lot, where it's just, you know, having just that constant giving complex, where you're a natural just giver, right? You know, and you know people are going to continuously take, but it's, no, I'm still here to give. I'm still here to continuously give. And, you know, I had a really great conversation with somebody this last week, and I was talking about that dynamic of my team and how much I felt that, you know, I was giving and I was there for, and he was like, man, it's really great that you're giving in this situation, but I want you to accept receiving. And I sat back and I was kind of like, I don't know what that necessarily means, like accept receiving. Yes. He's like, when you have a strong giving complex, sometimes it's hard for you to receive because you're so focused on making sure, you know, you're giving that value to everybody. Once you accept the ability to receive, then it comes in abundance. And then you have more opportunity to give. And it really shifted my interpretation of what I was doing in that moment. And I kind of took a moment to myself and said, and opened up and said, all right, like I'm open to receiving, whatever that may be, right? If it's a lesson that's going to bring me here, if it's a lesson that I can teach somebody, like I'm open to receiving it all. And at the moment I said that, just more things came. And in a very positive light, luckily, but if I feel like if I hadn't accepted that, I wouldn't have been in the position to be able to, you know, give the nuggets of knowledge to the people around. But just wanted to add that.
No, I like it. No, it's a unique take as well, because when you're in that essence of giving, and we say this all the time, it's like, you know, if you give the entire time, I think that's how I've actually been able to build a business, was just by starting off by giving. I think that's majority of businesses start off with just let me give first.
Well, to come back to the client acquisition piece, like Caro started with just the influencer discovery software, and we were giving it away for free. That's how we went from zero to like 30,000.
Exactly.
Free.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to. You absolutely have to, which is it's honestly it's the foundational piece of understanding transactions and what you can get back from them. As long as you start with that element of, all right, well, let me put this out there, because that's what it becomes. And then you're allowing something to, you know, you're allowing yourself to be open to receiving what could come back. But that's a whole nother avenue of what business is, because any business it's once you put it out there, it's like, what are you going to get back? It could be anything. Even for instance, like this podcast, you put it out there, you never know what you're going to get back.
Absolutely.
So
giving free game.
Exactly. Right. Which is crazy,
Yeah.
because even the start of this was just, hey, let's just give our time to just tell people about these hurdles that we've been through, or the successes that we've had, but just give them, everybody knows where they want their destination to be, but at least give them the path that we've taken, right? And then just more things came, right? I had no idea they would be sitting here saying, hey, I'm going to be hosting on Uncommonsense.
I know, that's why.
Or my conversation with Eddie, meeting him for that first time. You know, this is the second time we're meeting in person, by the way. Like this is the second time we're meeting in person.
That's pretty awesome.
Like ever since that conversation.
Feels like you guys have been family.
Exactly.
And you don't have to force these things. Like, cool, you got to work together, then we're going to come back together. Or it's like we're going to separate, we come back together. And that's how things work in life. If you hold on to something too long, you're going to spoil it. You have to let go. But if you let go too long, you'll never catch something. It's that in between of just like knowing that it's yours, but also not smothering it. You know, it's like all relationships, no matter what, it's like it's nurturing. It's just when you have that rhythm, it's a frequency, and like you just get to float and just be here, presence. And it's literally like you go from heaven to hell in 2.3 seconds. But if you hold that frequency of heaven, you get to ride that. You know, things don't bother you as much. And when you put this in your businesses and everything else, you're just like, cool, all right, we got it. And we get to separate for a little bit, build our things, and like, hey, look, brother, you know, I got something. I got, and it's like, it already meshed. We already saw it. We're creating a song together. It's unchained melody of, you know, these frequencies, these entities, you know, megazords.
I love it.
That's like the preview of what's coming up.
Oh gosh,
that's great, honestly. But no, it's this conversation in of itself is how so many conversations actually, you know, evolve throughout business in general. You never know what could happen with them, but you do recognize that it's all a relationship within the conversation, and you start to realize, I love that you're saying frequencies, because that is a piece of it all, and most people don't realize this, or they don't necessarily believe it. And it's something that you must absolutely believe, because it's a part of the fabric of being. And when you understand what that means to a business, you understand that, okay, well, guess what? Your business also has a voice. A voice is a frequency. So it's like, hey, what are you telling people? What we're doing as human beings constantly is explaining this frequency and explaining the word of whom you are internally, and what we can do as a whole, as a collective. And when we're constantly doing that, whether it be just us having this conversation or what my business is telling your business, it's, you know, we're constantly relaying those frequencies, which, you know, for me, what I always just resonate well with is a frequency becomes a message. And whether or not you're picking up those messages is something that is going to elude a ton of people until they're attuned to the fact that this message was actually for you. And then once you take that message in, you can say to yourself, okay, I have received it, but now that you've received it, have you understood it? And if you understand the message, then you can start to build on more constructs of life in general. And to wrap it up, but also bring it back to business, that construct as a foundational element to a business is something that can be that first brick that you should lay. And once you do that, that's actually where you can start to build off of it. That's where the other individuals can recognize that, hey, that brick that you just laid, I feel that brick. And that's actually, I want to be a part of that. And that's where someone else can add to it, or where you lay another foundational piece, if that makes sense. I know that might not make as much sense, but I hope it does.
100%. Building a foundation first. When I started my mortgage company, most mortgage companies' sales businesses start with the sales team. So majority of them end up bottlenecking the system because they didn't have a great processing team. I was a mortgage loan processor for about 15 years before I got into sales. So I had all my loan officers learn how to process for 6 months, get the mortgage statement, homeowners insurance, ID, last due pay stubs, all this stuff first. So when you put it in, you become a loan officer, everything just flows. The currency, you don't hold up the banks. And when you understand, like, same thing, like that, your word, as soon as you said the brick, the foundation, like I see like how it's built. And just like that foundation is so important first. People see the money first, the chase, the sales. But if you don't, like, it's gonna run out really, really quickly. And what you said is key. Like that is the keystone.
Yeah, and that's it. It's the keystone. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's once you understand that piece, it creates a whole nother opportunity for everyone around you, and hopefully people understand that, and hopefully they get the message from that. But this is just one. I have a feeling this is just one conversation that we're going to start having with you, Eddie, too. I think we're going to be on here a few more times for sure.
Definitely, for sure.
It's going to be fun.
It's a blessing.
Yeah, we're going to think it's a blessing to have everyone just together in this room at one single time, and these are the moments that we create, and that's what we sort of wanted to capture for the audience, for you all. But at the same time, bring in more elements to it because, David, this is, it's a pleasure to have you on the team as part of the team, which has been just watching that culmination has been super exciting for me to say like, hey man, we got more people. We don't even know yet who they are.
Exactly.
And that's going to be the one that's like, keep coming into the table. Let's see what this looks like and start to build off of it. But I appreciate this conversation. I appreciate you being on, in all honesty, David. Awesome to have you back on as a guest for sure. But any last, from everybody, table's open right now. So,
well, I'm kind of curious just in terms of client acquisition. I kind of want to hear from each of you guys, like a strategy for client acquisition.
Ooh,
I have my own, so I'll go last or I'll go first. If you guys need time to think. Is someone ready? Someone have one? Client acquisition story strategy.
David, take it.
All right, I'll go first. You guys
take it first.
Get it going. So again, shotgun approach. We were trying to get as many brands to install, but it was also important because it's drop shipping. So we needed to have as many products available to retailers in as many categories as possible. We want to be able to cover all of our bases, from dildos to refrigerators, whatever you can imagine. We want
like legitimately,
legitimately huge dildos. That's wild. So one approach we took, and this is, I really want people to steal this. I think it was awesome. I can't even take the credit for the idea. I helped execute, but we went out and we bought 12 different Instagram accounts. They're all above 30 to 40,000 followers, and they're all in specific niches. So we had one that was focused on like cooking. We had one that's more on fashion and beauty. We had one that's focused on travel. And what we did is we scraped every single Shopify brand on the internet. So we got all of their information. We figured out which one of those are on Instagram. And then we bucketed them into each category. So we had the food, the beauty. We took the Instagram accounts that we bought and then messaged those Shopify brands from the Instagram accounts that were relative to whatever industry they're in. So if we had a food company that we wanted to reach out, we'd use our food Instagram, so on and so forth. But that was such a helpful way to see higher conversion rates because one, it's coming from an account that has, tens of thousands of followers. So automatically you're going to trust it more. As a higher chance it's going to be higher up in their requests inbox even. And then it's also related to something you're already doing. So instantly you're going to be more receptive to whatever that marketing message was. And we built out this total automation system. We built out an automated DM system. So we just uploaded the message, told them who to reach out to from each account. And it was just sending, dozens of DMs every hour to all of these brands. And that was a big piece in us being able to grow so quickly.
Love it.
So unique.
That is.
Definitely, yeah, like incredible. Like it's
cool one.
As you're talking about, like when you have the code that's implementing them, it's just like you said, tell everybody, steal it. It's yours. It's not mine. This is ours. Like
open source.
This is a code. It's like having that clarity of like saying that there are no small print. Like this is how we did it. You could utilize it or you could not. And it's just that's what it's about. And my industry, it's quite a bit different because it's a lot more business to consumer itself for the most part. Where it's just like, how do you get out there? How do you do it all? And for us, for the most part, it's direct mail. It's something that most people don't do anymore because most people don't read their mail anymore. But those who do it within, really quick was making $30,000. Same thing with door knocking or just literally, I became a yoga instructor. My office became a yoga den and zone where everybody in the community, Saturdays and Mondays, free classes come because it's like, this is what I have. This is what I want to do. I want to do it every day. I can't afford it every day, but guess what? I'm going to hire a loan officer who's also a yoga instructor. Bring people in. It's the community.
I want to double click on one thing. You said you do mail marketing.
Yes,
that's incredible. I've been thinking about it. Are there lots of like really strict laws and regulations around how you can mail, when you can mail?
No, not for the most part. And it all depends on the industry. In my industry, mortgage, yes. Yeah. Very legally defined on what words we can and can't say. Also with a solar company, there's not so many words that are as binding because of the 2010 market change, Dodd-Frank, and all the new mortgage laws, which were created to stop from what's actually happening again right now. It's just like, and it's a trick and a trap in the matrix. So I am a huge proponent in direct mail. You're always going to have your people, no matter what, that's going to get, you own a house, every single month, you're going to get 10 of these, but no matter what, there's always a certain percent. It's figured in the matrix. Right. If I know that this specific mail piece is going to get me 0.25% to 1 or 2% return call ratio. Okay, cool. Each deal is going to make me on average $6,000 to $7,000. To send out 3,000 pieces of mail might cost me $1,800. So if I get one closing out of that, that's already $7,000. It paid that off with some. So once you have the people answering the phones or knowing like what it is, it's like, you got it. You have this structure. You have this system. It could be direct mail. It could be pay per click, because that's the same thing too, really. It's just a different form of mail, a different way of just getting the carrier pigeon out there.
It's not like an archaic method. Like most people would say like, man, that's archaic. Like what the heck? It's not something that the newer age is going to do, but it's like, nah, these are tried and true methodologies that will no matter what work and give you a return.
Well, it's almost going back to like the older forms of marketing can be more effective these days. No one checks like email marketing and from what I've heard from other people in the e-commerce space, it's dead. No one's checking their emails anymore. But I go through my mail every week and I go through it one by one. Exactly. If I got a mail from you, I would have read it.
Especially somebody like you with what you have is for everything. So different age groups, it's like who's sitting at home watching, Judge Joe Brown and Judge Judy every day and buying all the things off of these 800 numbers. Yeah. These are the same people that's opening their mail. So when you could really dictate, I only want to be in 55 and up communities right now because these are people, and this is where it comes down to of having the ethos as well, making sure that you're going to take care of your grandma. Because in this new world that we're going into, it's just like we still need salespeople. We need every position out there, but people that's understands like we're not selling garbage. We're going to sell something that's truly, and it's not even selling. It's like, this is a product that it either fits you or it doesn't. And if not, cool. I don't want to waste your time because it's like your energy is so important that you're going to go find the person and they're just going to find you and everything works. And like you said, email to, I really don't check mine ever. Yeah. And it's just like where I'm working on my sales job right now, just lots of people, they send out the emails. Like, I don't waste any of my time on that right now because it's just like, I'm just on phone calls, like I'm getting on there. I'll go door knocking. I was a Boy Scout. I used to go door knocking selling chocolate candy bars for $1. Now it's the same thing, whether it's solar or mortgage. It's in the metrics. It's in the numbers that if you're willing to invest in yourself and truly believe in yourself, you're going to get it. Just don't stop, and you believe in yourself, and it's powerful. Like it shows, and I'm thankful to be sitting next to you. Because like you get
I thought you were just talking about in general, not me.
No, you do. Yes, dude, of course. Like, man, it's like your power, your words, you got it. And just like when you see that, it's just like, and the confirmations, you are a mirror. You're asking the things. He's like, you got, and like, I'm in because like, cool. You're giving me codes, and it's like, I don't have to stick to these one things either. Dude, about TLCs, don't stick to the rivers that you're used to and everything too. It's just like, dude, man, I think she was sending out a different code out there, but
I like it. I love it, man. I love it.
Well, let's hear from you guys. Client acquisition. What's a strategy that you've loved, or maybe a strategy that didn't work well?
Definitely a strategy that I love. And that still works to this day is just the in-person networking events, anything of that nature, where you're putting yourself out there. And a lot of times you're putting yourself out there in a way that many people would perceive to be more uncomfortable because you're not necessarily like used to it. But the more times that you do it and you develop that thickened skin to say, hey, I can actually go do this. All I need is about 30 seconds of courage. And once I go, introduce myself and start to just get out there a little bit, you start to realize like, oh man, like I can start to dig into the conversations that we have similar to this process, except you're doing it on a day-to-day, basically with everything I do at this point in life. And it's not just, I think even yesterday when I went out to the field yesterday, and I haven't been in the field in forever. And I just realized it's a level of care that you have, an intent that you have with every single conversation that you start to establish with people. And when that happens, that's the moment that you're like, oh, I'm learning here. And then with that relationship of learning, you start to realize, like, oh man, like I can maybe give you something that is insightful to whatever you're doing in your life. And then let's say all of a sudden they mention, oh, well, this is what I do for work. This is what this is my occupation. It's like, okay, perfect. Let's dig into that a little bit. So I always start there as in terms of client acquisitions, because it gives me a better understanding really of just my own personal feelings towards whether or not I would get involved with that person or the business that they run or something of that nature. So I love doing that. And you see it in all facets, whether it be, going door to door, like that's a huge thing. It still should be used on a day-to-day basis for businesses. If you're not, you're losing out on something that could potentially give you an all new revenue stream that's just massive. So that's my approach. I love it. It's always been just the face-to-face communication aspect. I
love it. I think I share a very similar system. I'm more so focused on just the mission and integrity when it comes to client acquisition. Like that's something that I really want to let people know first, right? Like I feel like every conversation in business that I've been able to acquire has been because it's always integrity driven first, right? If we're going to do this, you have a team, I have a team, you have people you care about, I have people I care about. Let's make sure that they're taken care of first, right? Like, what are we going to do to make sure that our systems are taken care of? Because I understand the value of what I can bring. You understand the value of what you can bring, right? We're type A individuals and we know we're going to make it regardless. It's the guys that are following us I want to make sure is there. And I think that bringing that up at the beginning and always letting clients know exactly what that's going to look like, it shakes them in a sense, because they think to themselves, okay, you believe you can bring me this much value that my every system behind me is going to be able to work, or every system that's working next to me or that truly believes in me is going to be able to continuously believe in me because of what you're doing. So that's my approach right away, right? That's why I always say, bring value first so you can be valued later. That's my focus every single time. I want to show you, right, through the actions. And it's a lot easier to do that face to face, right? You can say no to me, but it's going to be a lot harder for you to say no to me when I'm actually sitting down talking in front of you and letting you know exactly why I think this is going to be a great relationship for the both of us, right? So, and I'll give you examples, and obviously just past conversations, right? Something that you do very well is you make sure that everybody in your system, and you said it to me, is like everyone in your system is your client. Like you must satisfy your client in any way, shape, or form that you can. And I take that in, and I took that into account when you told me that, where I was like, everyone is my client. Like I need to make sure that their needs are met every single time, right? While also making sure my needs are met as well. But, focusing and shifting on that, I started to realize, like I tell my team a lot, I don't really focus on my wants anymore. I focus on what others need, because ultimately by me doing that, I will always get my wants through that. And so that's my approach with everything. Like, what do you need in the situation? And I'm going to be completely upfront with you if I can give you what you need right now, right? And if I can't, luckily I have an Eddie. Luckily I have a David who can, right? Luckily I have a Travis who can, right? And let's bring those people together, right? Even what you're doing right now in Vegas, right? If I was living there and doing all that, I wouldn't be able to give you all those outlets, right? But I knew somebody that could, right?
Exactly.
So that's the best approach from it. And I think it's just really great, because seeing the process and growth of development of that is what excites me about the whole thing, right? Where, you are my client in this, like you had a need, and I'm there to satisfy that need for you, right? And hearing you say, this is what's happening, this is how we're growing, this is where we're going to take, like that's my payment right there, right? You know, that's what I'm looking for.
Net worth.
Yeah,
exactly.
I love to hear you talk about like client acquisition via your network. That's interesting. That's
Absolutely.
a very interesting topic.
It should always be a network.
That might have to be another episode,
Yeah. Exactly.
like an actual, because that's something that isn't
just networking,
discussed.
period.
Exactly.
Yeah,
The
that's
whole
everything
process of
Yeah.
networking, which we actually will make sure. But well, it's been a pleasure, fellas.
Absolutely.
Like,
This was a
Eddie,
great
thank
one.
you for showing up.
Thank
We
you so much.
Lessons
Eddie.
received.
Yes.
Appreciate
Thank you.
you.
Definitely appreciate you being on.
Thank you.
But
Love that.
yeah, any last final, touches, man? Again, David, thank you for showing up.
Absolutely.
Love
It's gonna be
it.
great.
I'll be here next time too.
Exactly.
You can't get rid of me now.
Right. It's official. It's official.
I like it. Well, let's close out, man. What the heck? We got a whole nother episode coming up soon. Be on the lookout. This is just the beginning of well, technically it's like the middle of the season right now. We're going to do a few different seasons. Hopefully through this process, you're going to see us level up a lot. And we're gonna always have new guests. We also have another segment that I really want you to be
Super
looking out
excited.
for soon. Shock talks. You're gonna want to see that. Some talk, some conversations that should be fairly shocking. Little inside joke for sure. But once you get to see some of the people that we have on that show, in that segment, you're gonna love some of it for sure. I think it's hilarious, to be honest with you. I think it's more of like a comedic.
It's comedic.
Skits
it's
almost,
real.
but it's fun.
It'll shock you.
It's super fun. But
Exactly.
be on the lookout for that. Thank you for even listening to us. We appreciate it. I believe it's Happy Hanukkah, by the way. I think got to give a shout out to the family. I know my family, we're literally about to go celebrate this afterwards. But other than that, man, happy holidays. Thank you all for listening. Glad to be a part of this conversation, and look forward to seeing y'all soon. Later.
Let's go.
They don't make sense, you don't make money. They don't make sense, you don't make money. They don't make sense, you don't make money. They don't make sense, you don't make money.
This a wonderful place to be. I don't even worry about a hater or enemy. I just go and study how to make me a better me. Build the future for us, visit places you've never seen.